Hey everyone, welcome to our video for the new moon in Virgo on September 17. This month we've got some important messages divided into some themes around presence and vulnerability, looking at what is truly essential in our lives, how we manage the energies in our bodies, our hearts, and our minds, and the old linear timelines falling and the rise of our multidimensional selves in the physical world beginning to really amplify. So I am Sage. Welcome to our energy update, and I'd like to thank you for visiting our page. Prior to each new and full moon, I will be sharing a video of my take of the energies that will be coming and unfolding. And if you are enjoying these videos, please subscribe to YouTube. And if you want to be notified, ensure that you push the little bell beside the subscription, and then you will be notified whenever we have a new video up. Alright, so let's get to it. So as I was talking about in the last couple months, we are continuing to experience the energies of the conjunction that is coming up in December with Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. And that we will be moving from Capricorn into Aquarius. But in the meantime, we still are dealing with a lot of this Capricorn energy. And remembering that a lot of this was kind of like jump-started in 2008 with Pluto. So since then, we've been dealing with some really transformative energies. And we've been talking a lot about the different stargates opening and the frequencies of light amplifying. And we've been talking about stepping more into our multidimensional selves, and as well as the collective of how the old linear timelines are dismantling and how we are beginning to really kind of come into that place of knowing our own power. And this month is really, it's a real kicker with it all, because we've, not only do we have Mars just going retrograde in Aries, square Saturn, and that is actually until, I think it's like until October 24. So we have this energy of Mars squaring Saturn for quite some time. But with Mars going retrograde and being square, really kind of is bringing out a lot of this, Mars is very independence and power, and Saturn is very old structure. So we've got this push and pull intention of wanting to go our own way and getting all these new inspirational ideas and feeling like this new initiation energy coming forth, but being told to wait and to pull it back. And when I'm looking at all the different energies that are going on, it really doesn't surprise me that, September is such a big month, because one of the other things that is really worthy of noting is that when any planets station retrograde or they station to go direct, we feel their energies amplified. And this month we have not only Mars going retrograde, but we had talked about on the 13th how Jupiter was going to start going direct, and then the end of September, Saturn will start going direct. And then beginning of October, Pluto will be going direct. So we've got these energies that have been sitting in Capricorn for all this time. And the interesting piece to this is as they go retrograde, if you're a person that does kind of follow your chart, it would be interesting to look at where you were when Pluto or Chiron or Jupiter were in these certain degrees in the past, because they're moving backwards. So that a lot of this isn't new energy, it's stuff that we are reconstructing, and we are, really kind of bringing about what was before. And that's the whole thing about the cycles of the galaxy and nature and the spiraling and the circling. It isn't linear. So all that we have been moving through, we have spiraled through before, and now it's time to really kind of physicalize and bring it to here. So I wanted to talk about, though, a little bit about the, what we could use as kind of tools with Mars squaring Saturn, because it's gonna be a little bit tough, because not only that, another piece is that Mars and Mercury are opposite. So it's like Mars rules Aries, okay, and Mercury rules Virgo, and Mercury is this real kind of like communication and let's work it through, let's like really technology, and the two of them are going to really kind of be opposite, but at the same time, what's interesting is that both of them are square Saturn. So, and Saturn rules Capricorn. So there's this like real sort of like old linear timelines of dominance and patriarchy, and then Mars with Mercury and this communication going on. And this is all happening when the sun moves into Libra at the fall equinox. So it's like, and that fall equinox is the balance point. And when I was looking at, when I was talking about the tools, when I was looking at which cards are associated, which tarot cards are associated with Libra, especially in the first decan, because we are, like I said at the beginning of this video, we are focusing on the period from the new moon to the full moon. And the full moon isn't until October 2nd. So we're looking at from September 17 to October 2. And the Two of Swords, so that would be the Two of Swords, is a card that is associated with the first decan of Libra. The other card that is associated is the Queen of Swords. Now the Queen of Swords, the court cards in the tarot are like those characteristics and personalities that would be really beneficial for us to tap into and us to empower within ourselves. The Queen is water, feminine, with swords, which is masculine. So there's this balance of our emotional energies and our mind, and we really need to master that, because during this time, with Mars being retrograde, with all these planets being stationing to go retrograde or direct, and not only that, the photonic light is amplifying. So we've got all these stargates opening, and right now in September, there's like even this like increase in the light frequencies. And I think, I was listening to somebody else the other day, and they were talking about how, we went from this place of fear and shock, and with COVID, and oh my God, what am I going to do, and resistance, and then it's almost like we started assimilating a little bit to it. You look on social media and you see all kinds of people with like masks on. I was even looking at Canva, and for their photography shots, it's like people with masks, so it's almost like becoming this, we're assimilating, this is what we do, right? However, because of the friction and tension and these squares and these retrogrades coming up, we are really being asked to look at what is essential for you. Now is the time to look at that. I mean, especially fall equinox. Even if you look at the old pagan times, it's the time where it's just before we start going into the divine feminine, and I've talked about that. But it's like before you go into the caves, before you retreat for the winter time when it gets really dark, then you make sure that you've got what you need to take forward. What is essential? What is the most important for you? And communicate that. Libra is air. Libra is all about communication, and Libra is a cardinal sign. And there's a lot of planets that are in the cardinal signs right now. I did want to mention a little bit about Libra because of the fact that right after the new moon in Virgo, we will very shortly after, 4 or 5 days later, step into Libra. And with Libra, it's like Libra's a natural born leader. It's another cardinal energy, and it's air, communication, rational, objective, witnessing mind. And that's where the Queen of Swords really helps us, because that is what she is. And the Two of Swords helps us to see, just be at peace. Just hold it. Just hold it. Breathe, pause. Because the two, is that you've made the decision. You're starting to get in your head probably some ideas. I know for myself, it's kind of like, wow, there's some real shifts in how I identify myself and how I do my work and who I even am. And just, there's so many things about my identity that are shifting. And yet, I'm not quite at that place of the Empress, which is associated as well with Libra. But I'm not quite there at that 3 energy. We're at the 2, So 2 is that, okay, there's some resolution that still needs to be worked through. There's some healing. Because remember, Chiron is also in Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer. So, it's sitting in Aries with Mars. So we've got this, like, all this energy that's inviting us to really look deep before we start stepping into the new, before we start creating this new vision of the new earth, before we start creating these new worlds and these new ways of being, whether that's in relationship, because Venus, because Libra is ruled by Venus and Uranus, both. Venus is very much about relationships, and Venus is in Leo right now, which is very passionate and fiery, and so we've got this, like, wanting in relationships, and then Libra with collaboration. So communication is really important. It's really vital for us to be able to move through this. So just remember that before the movement, it's like a portal of growth that we're moving through right now. And it's time to look at the long-term goals, and we can't be attached to them, It's like, there's also these energies, when I was saying about the timelines, the old linear timelines, with Mars being square Saturn like that and going retrograde, and then all these other planets stationing, and Venus in Leo and Chiron and, all these energies, plus with all these new portals that are really starting to land here, there's this feeling of really wanting to do something, especially, kids going back to school, the colder weather coming up, the darker months coming up, there is some change that we're going to be feeling. And that is it's so important to be in that place of the Two of Swords. Because if we don't, if you look at the 3rd decan of Libra, it's the 3 of Swords, and that's what we're walking into. And we could really get into a place of reworking old sorrows and old things, and we want to be in the now. Because if we can be in the now, that is the quantum field of possibility, infinite possibility. That's like that place that we can't even imagine. But then it's like we've got to learn how to be in the unknown and in uncertainty. Because if we're in the past or we're in the future, we're giving our energy away all the time. We want to pull that energy back and be in that place of a meditative state. And then we can create space for the energy that's around us in the quantum fields to come in, for our guides to speak to us, the ascended masters and the angels and our star families. And even that is becoming stronger. If you think about moving into the darker months, the veils are getting thinner even there. So not only is this photonic light coming through, but we're also heading into the dark time of the year. So considering where we are in the turning of the wheel, before we head into this time, and as we're heading into the equinox, really look at the beginning of this year. Look at where you were and how much you've changed. Because I would imagine you have changed dramatically since before COVID became a thing. Mostly within and externally, kind of fighting what's going and trying to figure out how to navigate it all. But now it's starting to land in a whole different way where those split timelines are starting to really kind of be more prominent. And the darker energies, the darker intents, they're going to start feeling some karmic lessons to this. This is going to start rising because it's just with the speed at which everything is changing and the frequencies of light codes coming in. That's a natural spiral, natural time of change. So it's really so much about not pushing, not forcing, allowing. There was this Sufi teaching, and I posted it on my Instagram because it was in my White Light Oracle deck. And I had pulled the perfume Sophia. And she was talking about, that sense of trusting that the universe, what is it? There is a beautiful Sufi teaching that destiny is granted with compassion. We are given what we need to know when we need to know it. We are given the resources when we're ready. But it's being open and being in that place of the Queen of Swords and the Two of Swords, and the Priestess, because Priestess is two, and the Moon and Venus, that's goddess energy. I just pulled as well the other day, I pulled the Ishtar, and even before I pulled the card, Ishtar had been coming forth. Ishtar, Inanna, Astarte, Lilith, there's many names for her, and very much around resurrection. And we're really getting into that space of really starting to own it and embody it. So let's just pull a few cards, just as to get a little bit more of some suggestions and insights. Some of the good things is, I know one of the things that I also read was that Neptune was, I think it was sextile Pluto all month. Very much trusting the bigger changes. Trusting is key. Trusting is key, and being patient and knowing this is a portal for us to grow. Okay, so I am going to pull 3 cards and we'll see what the archetypal energies and what the mystery would like us to also know beyond. I'm also going to pull the starseed card because I always find that's a great balance. And we'll see how that, there's so much about above and below that's pertinent to our growth right now. I feel like I've seen this one, but maybe that was in my personal cards. But this starseed card is loosen your grip. It's coping mechanisms, density, addiction, letting God in. And that's what I was talking about, is letting the mystery guide you, Do what you can to not jump to your addictions and your old patterns and your old timelines. Maybe switch your timeline. Pay attention. Sometimes what I do is I put this timer on my phone a few times a day, and in the morning I set my intention, then in the afternoon I have it reset your intention. Cosmic being at another time. Merge with the higher self another time. Just because sometimes we can get so caught up in the old timelines and the old patterns because they're pretty dense. They've been around for a long time. This is not a story that has just come forward. We're carrying like thousands of years of being under this dense vibration. And we now have this potential to raise our vibration to be in this higher frequency and higher consciousness. But we need to go from the heart. We need to let go. We need to loosen the grip on what we want to control, and when Mars in Aries, there's a lot of, in square Saturn, there's a lot of issues around control, and we got to let that go, and at the same time, stand in our power. There's this both and energy there, and that's where the Queen of Swords comes in. So let's just see what the tarot cards tell us. Okay, so it's interesting because we've got 2 sevens in here. And I'm going to just show you the one with the chariot again. And the chariot is very much where we are moving in the sequences. We're moving from the conscious ego world of getting our world set in the 3rd dimension, You know, we do this and we got to do this, and then we grow up and we get educated and we learn, and then we meet someone or not, or we really get more aligned with what we dream and what we want for our career or whatever it is, or we want to travel or whatever it is. Or you maybe just want to be now, be present. But chariot is, do you want to go deeper? Do you want to go deeper into knowing your own true essence? Do you want to go deeper? Well, then you need to tap into strength, which is the first card of the next, which is 8, which is infinity, knowing you are part of the infinity, the cosmos, the galactic citizens, that this isn't just about Earth and humanity. This is about the Earth herself and her relationship with all the other planets and the other universes. You know, it's so vast. So it's like, can you allow those cosmic energies to guide you and help you steer that chariot? Yes, we have responsibility. And that's the piece around using the positive aspects of Saturn. Saturn's not like this badass energy. Saturn is like organization and discipline and structure. And even though, and I keep repeating that, you know, even though our experience of that is very oppressive, in the kind of divine masculine, it serves the whole, serves the interconnectedness. So that Queen of Swords energy, you know, and you can even call on those energies to assist you. Queen of Swords is Athena, you know, the warrior that does not give up for her freedom, and she is very aligned with her thoughts. You know, Sophia, you know, wisdom, being clear in our minds, but tapping into the supports that we have. We're not alone. You know, now the interesting thing is in the center of it is 5 of Swords, which doesn't surprise me, because 5 of Swords is very much about conflict. 5 of Swords is a little bit of chaos. 5 of Swords is fighting for power. 5 of Swords is, you know, that it's mental conflict, very much so. But it's like just this ideas and beliefs that are negative and that take hold on us. And we just like get into this chaotic place in our minds. And that's where we can draw on the 2 of Swords, you know, and on those other archetypal energies and star families and angels and ascended masters, whoever it is, your own personal guides. Or could be humans, could be animals. Draw in close, watch the turtles, watch the birds, watch your dogs and cats. You know, they have great wisdom. Learn how to communicate with them again. Listen to them. You know, then we don't get caught in that human ego and mind and think that, you know, we're looking for problems or we're like so angry about it. Because Mars is going to bring some of that up, you know, and it's going to really invite us to really question, what is it that we really want? What is essential? You know, and then it's looking at, this is much bigger than us. 7 of Pentacles is for the future generations. You know, I've been working with some women individually and also with my own self, and we've been having a lot of conversations about how when the native traditions talk about the next 7 generations, it makes a lot of sense to me, because it's kind of like if we break the lineage of our own stories, you know, for example, with me, it's like breaking the lineage of abuse amongst, because of patriarchy and dominance and power over, and a lot of people my age, that's our story. But we're breaking the lineage of that pattern that has gone on for centuries, you know, and so then our daughters, you know, they carry some of the wounds, of course, because we still carry it, but imagine theirs, and then theirs, and then theirs, you know, or planting these trees, you know, yes, you may not see the outcome. What we do here on Earth influences the galaxy, you know. Earth is considered to be, you know, as far as I've just started to like really deepen my own teaching and deepen my own understanding about Earth in relation to the galaxy. And Earth is a crown chakra. And what happens on Earth, everything is affected. Everything. So what we do here affects the greater whole. It's not just about us. You know, in closing, just recognizing Justice, Libra, justice, balance. Balance the within and without. Balance your spirit, your mind, your body, all of your elemental selves. Know that this is a time that it's so important to let love rule. Meditate. Do your spiritual practices. Moment to moment, make those higher choices. Keep visualizing, keep imagining the highest trajectory, because right now is very integral to what is going to come. September plays a big role in that. And so just to wrap up, I would say, remember your allies. Use your mantras, your decrees, do your spiritual practice, meditation. Reach out when you need. Retreat when you need. If there are times where you feel like you just don't want to be around other people right now, check in. Is that balanced? Very much we're in the middle, Just what is it that is essential? Maybe do some writing around. Go back to the beginning of the year. See where you were and where you are now and where do you want to be, individually and collectively. And use, access the tools, the stones, the smudge. If you feel like you need to purify. A lot of times I will be like reminding myself, I release you into your circle and I into mine. Don't get mixed up in other people's energies. It's great to care, but you don't need to carry. Remember, this is about each our own path, and the micro movements are so powerful, the little steps. Reach out if you need to. Underneath the video, you will see the link to my website. I will be doing a new moon ceremony. I do often individual guidance, whether it's online or in person. Depends on your location and your own sense of safety. And if you don't reach out in this way, reach out elsewhere. We need to do this together. Libra is about collaboration, communication, talking it out. It's very important for us to do that. That is what's going to carry us through, is love, is community. We can do this. We got this. Remember, let your heart lead you. Blessed be, take care of yourselves, people. Thank you.